Hi guys, how you doing? So this is a new segment I'm starting on this channel called the Midweek Gaming News. It's a segment that's just put together so I can talk about certain things going on in the different industries that I follow, and that's like technically anything doing with video games, arcade stuff, and pinball. This segment is meant to be added onto stuff, so this won't affect my regular content coming forward. So this is going to be extra going into the week, and typically put out middle of the week around some time. I'm like still working on a solid schedule, but I think Wednesdays are probably going to be the best time for this. Okay, on with the first segment for this week. We're back to Stern Pinball because a video's been leaked of 007 gameplay, and I've had a couple people say they want to hear my thoughts on this since the last video, and I don't really have much to say, so it's getting put in here. But from what I've seen so far, a little bit excited, a little bit disappointed. I don't want to show the video here out of respect. There's really not much to see anyways. I'm still waiting for the stream. There's so many things that could have been going on here. I think this was at that tournament in England where it was supposed to be revealed, and it was set up for, you know, tournament play and everything. So you would like to think that it was balanced out, but we don't know. It might not have been properly balanced. Anybody has ever gotten a Stern knows that certain things like coils are typically always like on full power. Maybe not the best idea, you know, you want to kind of adjust things. So one of the things I saw that I was not necessarily happy with was that eject scoop for the Thunderball fight scene, the one that goes underneath the flipper and it shoots upward in the playfield. That just seemed like it was just bouncing off whatever and then rolling down unpredictably. That's not really what I wanted to see from that. When I saw the original video, I thought they cut away because they wanted to leave that little surprise of where it's actually going to go and stuff. And this could also just be the coil wasn't set powerful enough. Maybe adjusting that coil power will actually determine where that ball lands, so we'll have to see. But right now, the other thing about it is what was going on in the screen. It was weird. It was like you had the main screen and then like a border around the video assets. So it was like a screen within a screen. There wasn't much flashy going on. And it may have just been the person playing that didn't really know the code that well, but the music was getting kind of repetitive. It was like the same, like just like little few seconds of the James Bond theme being looped over and over and over again. And I could probably find that pretty annoying. Something I hadn't really considered, like them not being able to use anything except existing assets, does that mean that they weren't able to create new music to go alongside the original music to kind of... Because Stern's done that very well in the past. Like a lot of music that went along on the Mandalorian with the original music seemed to mesh pretty well with that property. So I don't know, that's something we're going to have to see in the live stream. And I've heard that they're holding off on the live stream because now this is rumor mill stuff. I don't know for sure, but the rumor mill seems to be they're waiting on a code update that's a little bit more flushed out and stuff to be able to update the machines before they show the live stream of it. So, you know, it's probably going to be happening soon within the next couple weeks, let's hope. So, okay, in the last couple of weeks, it's been reported that the new model of the PS5, the 1200 unit, is actually using less power. It's a lot lighter, and it turns out, yes, it is using a 6 nanometer die shrunk version of their SoC, which means they're getting about 20% more or 20% less wafer space. So it just means for every wafer of silicon that they're making chips out of, they're going to be able to get a few more chips out this time, and that's going to make, hopefully, production overall just a little bit cheaper on these systems. I think Sony, more so than Microsoft, has been marching full speed into trying to figure out how to reduce the size of this console and bring the price down, because unlike with what Microsoft's doing right now, they don't have like really like a much lower cost alternative. They do have their digital version, and there's ugly rumors out there and it could be interpreted different ways. The next version of the PS5 will have a detachable DVD drive. To me, that's kind of worrying, because it's what's signaling to me is like, is it actually going to be in the box with the system, or are they just going to sell you a digital system and then sell you the drive separately if you want it, and that's how they're going to reduce costs? I'm a little worried about that, but Microsoft's strategy so far is instead of pushing the Xbox One X and trying to make more chips of that, they've actually paid the fabs to make the smaller Xbox One S chips. Or I guess it's Xbox Series now, isn't it? Never mind that. Their naming's so confusing. I hate it. Xbox Series 1. Or, fuck. See what I mean? Like, seriously, Microsoft, why can't you just call it like Xbox 4 and Xbox 4 Pro or something like that? Just make it simple so we can all understand it. But it's probably something dumb like they don't want the number 4 lower than the number 5 on the PS5. because these corporations actually think that stupidly, yes, when it comes to marketing. And speaking of stupid corporate people, Jim Ryan of Sony has been apparently not just like very vocal on his, distrust of Microsoft and him not liking the merger between Activision Blizzard and Microsoft in this new upcoming deal that you're going to have. But he is actively hopping on planes, apparently going around the world, trying to tell people, the powers that be, to not let this happen because it's going to screw up the gaming industry or something if Microsoft owns Call of Duty. Who cares, Jim? You got plenty of things. You got SOCOM, you got Killzone. Just put some money into that. Stop worrying about it and stop making stupid reboots of shit that's only like 5 years old. The irony to me of this whole thing is just a couple years ago, he's like, nobody wants to play old games. Why would you want to play old games? Then he launches a service that has old games on it. And then he takes games like The Last of Us and does a remaster of it. And we're just like, that's kind of weird, but okay. And then you're selling it for $70. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play the old one because that's probably what I'm going to do. It's a lot cheaper and I already paid for your stupid service. But then on top of that, there's this rumor coming out of leaked PS5 games coming. And a game that's only 5 years old, Horizon Zero Dawn, which didn't look that bad in the first place. It was impressive when it came out. And really, I'm more with Microsoft on this, where you just take current games and patch them. Like the original Assassin's Creed, they just patched it, made the shadows look a little bit better, but original game, make it run at like 60 hertz instead of 30. That's awesome. Just go do that so the developers can continue working on, newer stuff. But it turns out that maybe Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a complete remake like Last of Us did, and it's like, dude, just stop. I just want new games. I just bought the PS5, and when I see stuff like this, I'm just like, it's like the continued dumb things like shutting down Japan studios and stopping like the quirky games. Like I really loved like some of the weird stuff like Loco Roco, Patapon, and Sound Shapes. Sure, it wasn't like the AAA stuff, but it filled your backlog and it like introduced new gameplay ideas and stuff like that. Just because, Sony has this mentality now of we're only going to invest in what sells. And that means you're probably only going to see like, 3, 4, maybe 5 games a year out of them. And they're all going to be these big AAA, like story-driven games. On one hand, because I didn't have a PS4, I feel very lucky to go back and play that stuff. My next big game after Ghosts is going to be God of War, and we're going to go right into God of War Ragnarok with that. But it's just like the handling of this is just like, it seems like they have no idea what the hell they're doing. And then that leads me into game prices, or just prices of things in general. Not only games gone up, but now console prices have gone up, and some companies have been sneaky about it. Have you noticed how Nintendo just released a newer OLED model and raised the price $50? Don't be surprised when the original model all of a sudden drops off when they run out of parts of that. And then that just happens to be the new price, and nobody will complain about it because they were so sneaky about it instead of out front announcing it. Seems like for right now, Microsoft is going to try to get a gain or a lead in the market by just swallowing the cost and just keeping the cost of their consoles down. But Sony had to raise their price. Everybody else has raised their price just the same. And now we're seeing this with graphics cards. But the thing I worry about with this is that inflation is being used as a scapegoat to increase costs way more than past what the inflation marker should have been. Okay, so for instance, like if you look at current inflation and like what the market's saying right now, best I can tell is in actual reality, we've been hearing like 8%. That's horseshit. It's probably more like 14.1%. And then Nvidia went and did this dumb thing where they went and had their cards manufactured over Samsung and then came back to TSMC, and it sounds like they don't have the same deal with TSMC anymore, so they're paying about 30% more for their chips. But if you look at how much the cards actually are, so we're getting into semantics here, but bear with me. The RTX 4080 compared to the RTX 3080 is 71% more in cost. That's way more past what the inflation marker should be. That's like ridiculous. I still want them to make profit, and I understand a little bit, but that's asinine. Then you have the 12 gig 4080, which really, when you dig into that chip has historically been a 70 series card. So that's what I'm going to compare it to. So if you look at the 3070 compared to the 3080, it's actually more like 80% increase in price. And I think that's sort of like a cover up to keep it as 480. So a lot of people are like, oh, the performance is on, just stop. This is quite clearly, if you looked at the 3070 compared to the 2070, the performance is still pretty damn good, and they still call it a 70 series card, but because of the price increase for whatever reason, so there's a lot going on here that we don't know. I'm kind of curious if these much higher prices is part of the reason that EVGA was just like, I'm just going to step back, dude. I'm still not convinced that EVGA is not going to go and, you know, go with another partner. I think they're just kind of biding their time right now, and then they'll finally speak up once they start selling out of all those older cards. And if you're looking for a middle-class GPU, maybe look at Intel this time, because it seems like the benchmarks have been pretty good. The benchmarks are out today, so go around, look at like Paul's Hardware, Bitwit Kyle, Jay's 2 Cents, those guys. They'll have excellent reviews up for you PC gamers. And last bit of news, we have Nintendo Direct tomorrow, specifically for the Super Mario movie. It's gonna be so weird if I watch this thing tomorrow and Chris Pratt's voice is coming out. It almost seems like they're trying to convince us, but it'll be I'm on Pacific Standard Time, so it'll be 1 p.m. my time tomorrow, so figure it out for your time zones and everything. Alright, so that's the end of this video. It was probably all over the place, but I just wanted to get a couple things off my chest, and that's really what I'm more like looking into doing here, is just kind of like having my opinion into things like once a week. But you guys let me know how I can make it better down below, because trust me, I know I can certainly make it better. But sometimes you just gotta dive in and see what's wrong with it first. I know plenty of people that are like, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, I'm gonna like get going, and it's like, then they're just like, I need to like figure out how to do this and this, and they just overanalyze and never put anything out, and it's just like, dude, just jump in, just go. You'll figure it out as you go along. Don't worry, everybody's YouTube channel sucks when you first start and you're finding your footing and all that stuff, so don't even worry about it. And thank you so much for all the kind words and stuff on the video last week. That was one of those videos I was kind of just shocked that it did as well as it did, but I do love pinball. I'm kind of in this thing now, and it's going to be added onto the Cellcade channel, so I hope you guys enjoy more of that. And yeah, thanks for all the support, even when you're being a pain in the butt and get upset with me calling a pinball machine a pinball table. Like, just figure it out. It's fine. Just go find peace in your life. It's okay. You don't have to get that upset over it. Anyways, you guys have a good one. Later.